The final element relates to research tools, and in particular it focuses on the students being able to design an effective questionnaire and an effective qualitative discussion guide. It is important that the students understand how these specific instruments are actually developed, and understand also that it is slightly more complicated than one would expect to develop a questionnaire. It isn't simply just putting down standard questions on a piece of paper. You've got to think about things like format, structure, and the understanding of the questions concerned. We would like the students to be aware of the extent to which software can now be used to generate different types of questionnaire, and you may get the students possibly to use the example SNAP software that exists with the textbook as a way of them practicing, maybe with some software in a relatively limited way on questionnaire design. We would also expect students to know about sampling, so we would be talking about students knowing the difference between probability and non-probability samples. And although we don't need students to be aware of all types of sampling approaches, we would expect them to know at least about convenience samples, judgment samples, and quota samples. Understanding these and how these are actually used and how these are put together is quite critical for the vast majority of research that's actually undertaken. With the difficulties of getting response rates in certain market sectors, we are finding market research agencies are using panels a lot more than they have in the past. So we would be expecting the students to know at least what a panel is and how that maybe differs slightly from a sample which is chosen on a one-off basis. Sample size, we would like students to know what factors come into account in terms of sample size. We don't necessarily need them to be able to calculate statistics to work out sample size. What we do need them to know are the factors that influence the size of sample you would use on a quantitative study. And also the nature of sampling and non-sampling error that may relate specifically to samples being used in quantitative research. If they know that, they will have a good grounding in terms of market research, and will also be able to look at other people's market research to understand how valid some of the data is that they're getting from these sources.